Welcome back to the Healing Hotline. I'm your host, Jessica Trambarger, and today we're going to be talking about the dark stuff that I have been dealing with internally that has been manifesting externally, and how I have finally come to the end of that situation, everything that I learned from it, so that maybe you can gain a little bit of wisdom and apply it to your life in whatever way you see fit. Okay, let's get into it. So I've talked about it before, the whole situation with my dog and all of the things that I felt like it was teaching me. And I was still battling these thoughts inside of my head, basically feeling like I didn't want to have a dog anymore. It just felt like way too much responsibility because I was already taking care of my almost 2-year-old daughter. And as a first time mom, I think that, I don't know, like people don't really talk about how hard of a transition it can be to being a mom, and especially if you already have some priorities before that. So I guess this is kind of like the stuff that a second time mom would be dealing with in a sense, because I felt as though my dog was my daughter as well as my actual daughter was my daughter. So essentially, what the universe was showing me was this was like basically how I was treating my dog was how I was treated when I was little. And I thought that that was all that there was to it, but turns out there was a little bit more. So it's true that they say that you get your manifestations when you finally accept your current circumstances. So I finally came to the terms that I was probably going to have to keep my dog, for the rest of her life, and not sit here and just like wish, okay, well, if I have to keep her until she dies, and I hope she dies soon. Yes, fucked up, I know. But I think that the issue is that we try to shame ourselves and like where our mind goes when we don't really have control over where our mind goes. We only have control over what we entertain. So I was not really entertaining the thoughts, but at the same time, I wasn't dismissing them as good as I know I could. And I was just letting the aggravation and the frustration of her being in my presence get to me. And I realized that. Like I was just being very short tempered and just like, girl, get a fucking grip. It's a dog. It's okay. You know what I mean? And like, that's not to invalidate my frustration or my feelings, because I did feel what I felt. But at the same time, I, even though it's hard to admit, like when you're in that deep of a depression and you're so angry and all of that, like it really is just you that is stopping you from changing. And a lot of people don't want to admit that. They call that victim blaming. I don't know what the fuck name they have for it now, but that's not true. It's taking accountability and realizing that if I wanted my life to change, if I wanted to stop feeling frustrated, if I wanted to stop feeling angry, and I couldn't get rid of the thing that I felt was making me feel that way, the only thing that I really had control over when it came to that situation was how I reacted. So little by little, I stopped giving the triggers attention. And that is the major key. When you stop feeding the triggers, that thing stops becoming so frustrating. So I would just catch myself and be like, you know what? I don't have to get mad at this. I don't have to get mad at this. I can just like let it be. And then the other things, like when it came to actually taking care of my dog, one of the main things that I did was I opened up to my husband and I let him know, like, because at first he was basically just feeding the dog, like he was responsible for feeding her and all of that, but I would still be responsible for taking her outside. And that itself seemed like it was going to be a good thing. Like, okay, that's fine. I can take her outside. You feed her. Good. But that started to become a problem as well. And I really just voiced that to my husband, and I let him know, like, hey, this is becoming harder on me, and I don't think that I can keep dealing with this responsibility. And This is how you know that this man is my motherfucking twin flame, the best ever, because he just said, okay, well, I'll do it then. I'll do it. I'll do all of that in the morning before I go to work. You don't worry about it. So that helped to make things a lot easier for me. So once he started being able to take her out and stuff like that, I was like, you know what? Like, I think I can probably do this. Like, as long as I just stop letting the certain things trigger me, I'm pretty sure that these triggers are going to go away, because I already felt them pretty much going away, but they weren't 100% gone. But I was like, you know what? Like, let me just say fuck it. And you know what? Like, I accept my situation as it is. I know that things could definitely be worse, and I'm grateful that they're not. So, you know what? I fuck it. If I'm meant to keep the dog, I'm meant to keep the dog. Now, because my dog is an older dog, she was almost 7 years old. Because she was an older dog, we didn't really know who would want to take her. My husband did ask his brother, and his brother was like, yeah, we can take her, but we would just have to ask the landlord. And I wasn't 100% sure if his brother was actually going to be like adamant about asking his landlord. So I was just like, you know what, like, I'm pretty sure that's just the universe telling me that I'm meant to keep her, because it just seems like she's not going to be going anywhere else. I don't want to just throw her to anybody. I really genuinely want her to go somewhere where I know she will be happier, because where she was with me, she's just not happy. I know she's not happy, just in the sense of like, because I was so frustrated and I couldn't deal with her, she would just stay in her kennel all day, like literally all day. And it's terrible. I fucking know. It's fucking terrible. I wouldn't close the kennel. The kennel would be open. She could come out, but she also had a like wood floor phobia. So she was never that comfortable walking around the house like that. And we don't have like a bunch of like places for her to lay at. So she would literally just stay in the kennel all day. And I think that's a part of like what was making me so upset, was because like I was getting angry, because I'm like, why am I keeping this dog when I know that she could be happier somewhere else? I was like telling the universe every single day, I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that I'm supposed to keep this dog. Like, there's literally no way. When I tell y'all, I would sit at my altar and cry about having this dog. It seems so silly, but it's not. Because the thing is that people deal with this type of emotion with so many other things, and some people deal with this emotion when it comes to their own life, like they don't want to be here, you know. So it showed me a lot of perspective. But basically, like, I would literally sit there crying. I'd be like, universe, like, there's no way that this is what's supposed to be, like, with this whole situation. Like, there's just no way. So anyway, so then I finally, after his brother said like, oh no, like we'll ask the landlord, I didn't take him seriously. So I was like, you know what, like, I feel like we're just probably just supposed to keep her. Like, you know, maybe the universe is giving us such a hard time because it's literally not meant to be, right? So I go to sleep. Next day, my husband gets a text from his brother, and his brother's like, so we can actually take the dog. And I was like, whoa. It was crazy, because like at that point I had literally like genuinely accepted the fact that I was probably going to keep her. So I feel like it was literally a mind fuck that the universe did that right after I accepted it. I was like, wow. So literally acceptance is the fucking key. But not only that, it's not just acceptance when you really think about it, right? So when they tell you that you should act like you already have your manifestation, people think, okay, well, how do I act like I have $1 million or whatever? That's not what you're trying to act like, because you're trying to act like what it would feel to have $1 million, right? So in all actuality, it has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the feeling, the happiness, that good ass energy of you just being financially stable and being able to literally do whatever the fuck you want, because you got a bunch of fucking money, right? But here's the thing. I didn't realize that, like, by me accepting the fact that I was gonna have to keep her and just being happy and content with my situation, that I was essentially stepping into the energy of me already having the manifestation where my dog is already in a better home, because I stepped into that place of content. Because the content feeling is really the feeling that I'm having right now. You know, it's like I know that she's going to a good home. I'm going to be able to see her very often. My brother-in-law lives in San Antonio, but either way, I'm still going to be able to see her a good amount of time. You know, like it's not like she's like with some stranger that I'm never going to get to see her again, you know. Also, like, it just worked out perfectly because they don't have any kids, and you know, so basically she's going to be their baby, and it's special, it's amazing, and I feel like it worked out the best. But let's talk about what happened after. So on the day that my dog left, I was like, damn, like it was definitely a bittersweet feeling. I've had my dog for almost 8 years now, and I'm just like, damn, like it's crazy. You don't realize how much the energy of something really affects you. And some people are like, yeah, I know how much my pet affects me, you know. I didn't realize that. I guess it's just because like I've had her for so long, like I forgot what it was like. I forgot what it was like to not have a pet. I forgot what it was like to not have that energy around me. So when she left, I actually got trying to cry. Really trying to do these episodes not crying. Anyway, so but this probably gonna be one of the episodes that I cry, because the revelations that came from this is wild. Okay, so when she left, I was definitely sad. I feel like I get this feeling when anybody leaves, though. It's so strange. It's like I don't know, have you ever had someone stay over your house, and then like they're in a particular room and stuff like that, and then they leave, and like you just feel that it's like empty nest syndrome. That's essentially what it is, you know? And it's just like, damn, like they were here, but now they're not here. I don't know why it fucks with me so hard every time anyone leaves, and I think it's because of like how I was growing up with my mom and stuff like that. But essentially, that should be it weighs a little on my heart. So whenever anyone leaves my house, like it takes me a little while to recuperate, to like regroup myself and realize, okay, like let me get back on my schedule, because anytime someone comes over, my schedule gets thrown off and everything like that. Like I don't know, it was a weird feeling. It felt weird. So seeing the spot where her kennel used to be and stuff like that, and seeing it empty, it was definitely sad. So if you are dealing with grief, I will say one thing that definitely helped me with this was just moving the furniture around a little bit, because before I moved the furniture around, it was basically an empty spot where her kennel was, and that shit, like seeing it empty over and over again, it was fucking with me. So rearranging the furniture really helped me in a way that I didn't realize that it would, but it really did, because it's just triggering me to keep seeing like her empty kennel spot. So I was sad, and I think I was sad because I just kept in my head saying like she's happy, you know? But the she's happy started to turn into like she's happier without me. And I was like, damn, she's happier without me. And that shit started to make me cry, because I was like, damn, like to just admit that someone or something is literally going to be better off without you, that shit hurts. Especially because I knew that it was so true. I knew that it was true without a doubt, you know, but it still hurt. So for this next part, I have to kind of breeze through my childhood so that you guys can get a little bit more of an understanding of where I'm coming from with this next part. So when I was 2 years old, my mom ran off with us to Puerto Rico with me and my sister. She ran off with us to Puerto Rico. We lived there for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and then our dad found us. When our dad came and got us, he took my mom to court, and he got full custody of us. So basically, my mom only saw us every other weekend, only for the weekend. So she would pick us up on Friday at 6 p.m. and drop us off at Sunday at 6 p.m. at our dad's house. And that would be every other weekend. So we literally only saw our mom 4 times a month. Okay. And so I have always been like really upset about that, kind of like resented her for it, because every time that she would go to drop us off, that's where the sadness came from too. That's where the empty nest syndrome would come from. Every time she would go to drop us off, I would get really sad, and I would just be like, damn, like, I don't know, like it felt disappointing every time she would bring us back, because I was like, damn, like, you don't have to take us back. Like, you could totally take us to court and fight for us. And it just never happened. Every weekend we just kept going back to our dad's, or every other weekend we just kept going back to our dad's, right? But anyway, so when I had my baby, I was just like, damn, like, did she not fight for us because she was tired? Because like having a kid is tiring, and I only have one, so to have two must have been extremely exhausting, especially if you were in Puerto Rico, didn't have my dad's help, probably had help from her brothers and stuff like that, but like not from your significant other, or for what was your significant other, right? So essentially my logic was like, oh, she basically like kind of like took the easy way out, like she just didn't want to be a mom full time, essentially. And that was always my like thinking behind all of this, right? But when I had that like perspective of, damn, like, my dog is better without me, I I couldn't even get the whole thought out of my head before I started crying, because I was like, damn, like, I wonder if that's what my mom thought. Like, I wonder if she thought that we were better off without her. And that shit that shit wrecked me, but not as much as this next thing, okay? So I was sad, and I was like, damn, like, that's fucked up, because like, kind of, yes, we were better living with our dad in a sense of like our financial situation, stability wise, and stuff like that. And I do feel like I probably would have gotten into a lot of bullshit if I would have been living with my mom, because she just wasn't as strict. And that was the main reason why I always wanted to live with her, because my dad was super strict. But anyway, so I was like, damn, like, that gave me a perspective shift, right? And then later on, like the whole day after, the whole 24 hours after I gave my dog away, I was just like empty, depressed. Like, my husband was like, what's wrong with you? Like, he was just trying to make conversation and blah blah blah. And like, he's like, like, she's with my brother, we can see her anytime and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think that like the sadness is coming from that, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And we were in the car, and I just started thinking to myself, like, one, I always thought that she took the easy way out, but there's no way in hell that that was truly the easy way out. Like, there really was no easy way out, because that wasn't easy to just give up. It seems like it's easy to give up, but it's not easy to give up, because at the end of the day, this is what really made me cry. I was feeling so sad, and I was like, damn, like, I've had my dog for like, 7 years or whatever, and we're just together every day. And then all of a sudden, one day she's gone, right? She's gone. Basically, I realized that it was kind of like the whole emptiness syndrome that was like making me feel down and depressed. And I was like, damn, because it's just like she's not here no more, right? But then I started crying. Like, we were in the car, and I just randomly thought about it, and I just started crying, because I'm like, damn, like, I feel like the universe was showing me a little bit of what my mom felt the day after the court basically said that we had to go live with our dad because basically like for years, every single day, 24/7, she was our mom full time. We were always with her. She was always taking care of us. At least I think, right? But one day that completely changed and we weren't there no more. We weren't there no more. And one day we were just gone. And it's not like a normal, like, oh, your kids moved out. It's like your kids got ripped away from you. That shit honestly just, it made me cry so much because although I have no intentions on reconciling with my mom, I think that it's important for us to see that like they were human and like they did feel hurt, they did feel pain. I can only imagine like the deep depression that my mom must have went through immediately following us leaving. And it just gives you perspective. Really does. It gives you a lot of perspective, but I think the biggest lesson for this for me was that like I cannot handle more than one kid. And it's okay to say that. It's okay for your reason for only wanting to have one child is that I cannot handle that. I cannot handle it mentally. It's okay if your reason for wanting to have zero kids is that you know that you cannot handle it mentally. Because if our parents would have sat themselves down and really looked at their life and been like, can I really handle another human being? Can I really handle another responsibility? If our parents would have just did that, so much would be different. So there would be a lot less of us traumatized. There would be a lot less of us needing to heal from the stuff that they have done to us. Because a lot of the things that they have did, if you have a sibling, I guarantee you is due to the fact that they were overwhelmed. It was too much. And everybody's too much is different. Some people's too much is 2. Some people's too much is 1. Some people's too much is 5. Okay? So it's different for everybody. I have seen women that can love the fuck out of every single one of their kids. So I think, right? That's what it looks like. But I've also seen people that I thought were so loved throughout their childhood express to me the sentiments and express to me the things that they felt growing up and how they felt like they didn't compare to their siblings in the eyes of their parents. I do really feel like sibling trauma is a thing, and I have seen it not only with myself but with other siblings as well. And it really doesn't have anything to do with your siblings. Some sibling trauma does, more so about your parents. And like I don't think that people realize that the way siblings act towards each other has a lot more to do with the parents than their actual dynamic with each other. There's so much like underlying comparison, there's so much underlying competition and stuff like that because of the way that the parents treat the kids. And like it's most of the time it's not intentional, but children pick up on things super easy. They can tell when you have a favorite. They can tell when you pay more attention to a certain kid. I don't really know. I feel like I really just needed to make this episode to talk about what I went through and also to realize that like yes, you can cut your family off, but just know that that energy of your parents or whoever you cut off is going to manifest until you have truly learned the lessons from that energy. So for me, it's like, don't judge my mom for how she acted. Just take note on how not to be or how to be. I'm trying to think like how to be, huh? Well, I mean, like there was a few things I do like a few things that my mom did, but essentially it's like not judging. Just don't judge because honestly, if I could tell y'all anything right here, right now, don't judge your parents. Don't judge your parents. Don't judge your parents for what they did. Don't think that they were shitty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because if you're on the healing journey like me, the universe will humble you very quickly. And you're probably not going to like the way that it's done. It's probably going to be very painful. And I don't know, like I feel like that's the key takeaway is like don't judge. Don't judge because you will be put in that situation. Not the same exact, but very similar. And lucky for me that I can see patterns very well. It's literally one of my gifts is that I can see the pattern and I say, wait, this me acting like this towards my dog is like how I was treated when I was little, and like the way that I'm feeling this grief right now, that's how my mom was feeling the grief. That's a fucking gift. Pattern recognition can help so much because if you can correlate what you're currently going through to whatever lesson the universe is trying to give you, you're not going to have to learn that shit no more. And you're finally going to get that manifestation of whatever it is that you felt would have solved this problem. And for me, it was giving my dog away. And it happened in the most beautiful way. And I still get to see her every so often. And I just think that's amazing. So I'm very happy to say that I have finally closed this book on this. What is it? Like healing my motherhood wound or something? I think so. I have finally closed the book and realized, you know what? Judgment is truly not worth it because every time, bro, every time I fucking judge somebody, the universe is like, "Are you sure? Because we're gonna show you how. So you sure? You want to judge?" I'm good off it. Okay, my Virgo moon is learning. I really hope that you've gained some type of clarity or some type of understanding, or at bare minimum from this episode you have learned that judging your parents is not worth it. If you can take the time to try to put yourself in their shoes and try to have a little bit of compassion, that does not mean that you forgive these people, because you cannot forgive anybody that hasn't taken accountability. It doesn't mean you give them excuses. It doesn't mean you give them a free pass into your life. It just means that you just realize that everybody has their own battles that they're going through. And you have no idea what that person, your parent, whatever, whoever it is, not just your parents, don't judge anybody because the universe will humble you. But just realize that like you have no idea what anybody is going through, has been through, that makes them react in the way that they do. And you just never really know, because not too many people are willing to talk about the dark things that go on in their head. Unfortunately, I love to talk about that shit though, because I feel like if we normalize it, then people will realize that it's normal, and you don't have to entertain it though, but you're not like this fucked up person because you think these things. But you do have things that you have to work through, okay? But like I said, this having compassion and all that is really for you. And I mean that in the biggest sense that it is for you, because if you don't find the compassion or the understanding, you will be humbled because you will be going through it yourself. So save yourself the time and the energy and get this wisdom, okay? Get this wisdom. Try to put yourself in their shoes, okay? I really hope that you guys like this episode. If you haven't already, please review the podcast wherever it is. 5 stars only. If you don't want to rate it 5 stars, please don't do that to me, okay? That's rude. And karma will come for you. Anyway, let me not. But anyway, yeah, like 5 stars, and be like, wow, totally love it. And if there's anything that you want to talk about on this podcast, make sure to write into that show. make sure that you write into the show that soulglow.com/the healing hotline. I'm your host, Jessica Trambarger, signing out.